Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our September edition of Sustainability Chats brought to you by the Sustainability Institute. My name is Casey Meehan. I am the Director of Sustainability and Resilience at Western Technical College, but I also serve the programming side of the Sustainability Institute. If you're not familiar with the Sustainability Institute, we are located in La Crosse, Wisconsin, which is on the west coast of Wisconsin. And our mission is to celebrate sustainability regionally and really to help our community envision a more positive future. So a couple of things before we get going today. Please do make sure that your microphones and cameras are off. Our typical format is we'll have about a 20 to 30-minute presentation from our guests, and then we'll have time, excuse me, I have time to field some questions from you. And the way that that works is please enter your question in the chat box. That's where we'll be monitoring that chat box. If you've got a question or concern, type it into there. And to access that chat box, if you're not familiar with Zoom, just look on your control bar and you'll see a little message bubble. If you click on that, that'll bring up a chat box. Type in what your question is and hit send, and it'll come to us, and we'll go through those questions at the end. Right now, we've got a very quick poll for you to take, just around two basic questions around some of the things that Habitat for Humanity offers. So if you could just take a couple of seconds and answer those two questions. Have you heard of Renew the Block? And have you visited the Habitat Restore? Just take another 10 seconds or so to answer that. All right, great. It looks like most people have entered that poll, and about half the people here have heard of Renew the Block, half have not, and the majority of you, in fact, 90% have been to the Habitat Restore. So that's fantastic. So our work here at the Sustainability Institute is guided by the UN Global Goals. And that's a set of 17 interconnected goals that were rolled out in 2015, and they work together to solve some of the world's most challenging problems by 2030. And you'll notice that these are really broad, and they're not, it points sustainability into not just environmental stewardship, but really there's goals, for instance, about ensuring equitable access to basic services. Some of the goals are about reducing inequalities. Some of them are about fostering innovation and resilience. Some of the goals are, of course, caring for the environment and stewarding the environment. And then there's a few goals that are about promoting peace and collaboration and transparent decision-making. So collectively, all those 17 goals really define what we're talking about when we're talking about sustainability. It's not just environmental sustainability. What's so cool, I think, about our guest today is that the organization Habitat for Humanity of the Greater La Crosse region, it really directly touches on at least 7 of those UN Sustainable Development Goals. So I'm sure lots of you have already heard about Habitat for Humanity. You know generally what it does. It's a nonprofit that's really about helping every family and believing that every family should have a decent and safe and affordable place to live. The cool thing, one of the cool things about Habitat for Humanity is it doesn't necessarily end there. Some of their programs are really looking at this broader sustainability where, yeah, it's the core is about housing people, but it's doing so by also looking at the environment that they're in, the neighborhoods that they're in, the resiliency of those neighborhoods. So we are really lucky today to be joined by Kaya Fox, who has been the executive director at Habitat for Humanity of the Greater La Crosse region for over 7 years now. Before taking on that role, Kaya was the housing assistant director for CooleyCap, and she's got over 20 years of affordable housing experience. She's worked with a variety of housing and community development programs, including housing rehabilitation, home purchase, weatherization, housing counseling, flood assistance, land trust housing, and new housing construction. She works extensively with low-income families, and Kaya has a very strong commitment and understanding of the issues faced by individuals in poverty. So Kaya, thank you so much for joining our sustainability chat today. And the floor is yours. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and feel free to take over.
Thank you so much, Casey. It's a pleasure to be with everybody today. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and we're going to talk um, kind of broadly and then also in detail about kind of what Casey was talking about. A lot of people understand what Habitat for Humanity is on a general level. And I think when you first think of Habitat for Humanity, that idea of habitat and sustainability are things that maybe you're questioning how those two come together. So we'll talk a little bit broadly about that and then focus specifically on the different programs that we operate at Habitat and how we are working to integrate sustainability into everything that we do. So our vision at Habitat for Humanity is we want a Coulee region with ample quality housing options and healthy, sustainable communities for all. And I think that vision that we have really talks about why we have embraced sustainability in the things that we do at Habitat. So I think you can throw a rock and not miss anybody who hasn't heard about the affordable housing crisis that we are in right now. If you take a look at the state of Wisconsin, the average person living in Wisconsin cannot afford an average home in our state. So what we do at Habitat for Humanity is try to break down those barriers and build equity for individuals looking to own their homes. When we look at the affordability housing crisis, it impacts a large number of people in our community. And what we look at Habitat for Humanity is for individuals who have a hard time finding access to safe, affordable housing, regardless of where they are in the spectrum. So we're looking at individuals who struggle at various levels of their housings, all the way from homelessness through affordable home ownership. And we are a socially motivated program that we believe that our mission is to meet basic needs of people in our community. So this just kind of goes to show you where that crisis is coming from. Over the last few years, we've seen housing prices around the nation, but also in the Coulee region spike dramatically. So you can see the blue line shows you the average home values. So for those of us who own homes, that's really great news for us. But what it means is that individuals who are struggling financially or are at lower ends of our income spectrums are having the hardest time finding housing, and that's at all levels. When house prices go up, rent prices go up. And so individuals nowadays are finding it harder and harder and harder to find stable, safe, and affordable housing everywhere across the United States. So this just talks specifically about housing in the La Crosse area where our organization is centered. So if you take a look at the average rent of a 3-bedroom apartment in La Crosse, it's over $1,100. So you'd have to make $14.40 an hour for that 3-bedroom apartment to be affordable. We all know that minimum wage in Wisconsin is still at $7.25. And if we take a look at specifically zoning into the people who rent in this city of La Crosse, 1 in 3 pays more than 30% of their gross income. And when we talk about gross, we're talking about before taxes come out on their housing. So, HUD says when people pay more than 30% of their income on housing, that starts becoming a massive financial burden to them. And so when you do that, that leaves less money for all of those other important things that we need to buy, food, clothing, medical expenses, all of those things that we have to also pay out of our income every month. When a big portion of that is being spent on our housing, that means other things suffer. And so when you think about it, walking into a grocery store, thinking about the 1 in 3 renters paying more than a third of their income on housing is pretty unfortunate. And then the more startling number is that at least 1 in 6 pays more than half of their income before taxes on housing. And so then when we dig a little deeper into, the actual ability to purchase homes, the average home price in the city of La Crosse is $230,000. So that's a lot of money. And when you take a look at our working class citizens in the city of La Crosse, housing price of $230,000 is just unaffordable for those families. When we take a look at what is available in our area in the state of Wisconsin, there's almost 120,000 missing affordable housing units in our state. So they just don't exist. And so that's why we find our families having a harder and harder time finding the access to safe and affordable housing. And it's getting worse, every single month that goes by. So obviously, when people think of Habitat for Humanity, they think about, building homes for families in our community. So that's what we primarily do at Habitat for Humanity. We currently have 11 homes that we are building across our service area. Habitat serves families in La Crosse, Vernon, Trempealeau, and Monroe counties in Wisconsin, but also Houston County in Minnesota. We partner with our homeowners, and they buy the homes from us using a 0% interest mortgage. And using a 0% interest mortgage is what bridges that gap into affordability. Since 1992, when we started as a nonprofit agency, we've provided over 70 homes for families in our communities. But when we talk about sustainability, we talk about healthy communities. That's not all that we do at Habitat for Humanity. So we think that it's really important to understand that sustainability needs to be a piece of what we do as nonprofit housing developers. We need to not only just think about the individual home that people live in, we need to think about the broader communities that we're building those homes in. So we want to create communities, neighborhoods, cities as places where people want to live, that they want to raise their families in. So in a region as unique as ours, in the Coulee region, with our beautiful bluffs and rivers and neighborhoods and all of the historic, beautiful buildings in our community, we feel it's really part of our responsibility to nurture that for our community for future generations. So one of the things that we do, and I'm really excited to hear that 90% of you have actually been to the Habitat Restore. For those of you who haven't, I highly suggest taking a chance, coming out, seeing our Restore. If it's not our Habitat Restore in La Crosse, Wisconsin, check out Restores in your area. There's literally thousands of Restores across the United States. So as of 2023, the Restore has diverted over 9 million pounds of material from the landfill. So that's huge. That's a massive impact of items literally not going into our landfill. And when we talk about sustainability, a lot of us don't think about some of those larger items that we throw away because we do it so rarely, but they have a huge impact on our landfills and the amount of space that they take up. The Restore model, this idea of reuse, extends the life cycle of not only the items not going into the landfill, but it also means less items have to be produced, shipped into our homes. And so it has kind of like a double win. And then we also have in the back of the Restore our recycling room. And this is where we take different electronics that are no longer working, and we actually strip usable materials off of them, and then we recycle them. So, the Restore has this just beautiful circular work that it does in avoiding things from the landfill, providing items for people in the community, and also recycling items that we can't use. We do sell these items at the Restore to people in our community, and it's got pretty much everything you can think of. I think a lot of people who walk into a Restore for the first time are really impacted by how much and how broad the items that we have are. So not only do we have, common household items like couches and chairs and dressers, but we also have a lot of building materials. So we have doors and windows and tile and sinks and tubs for home improvement things that people want to do on their homes. And then all of the money that we raise from selling items at the Restore, we use to fund our mission at Habitat for Humanity. So not only do you get discounted items, do you have the ability to, divert things from the landfill, but you're also supporting a really wonderful mission in our community. So this just kind of shows you what we take a look at and why we like what we do at the Restore. Most of the time when we talk about, the economies of recycling, we take a look at, just throwing things in the garbage. And that's kind of the worst case scenario. And recycling is something that a lot of people are really excited about. And it does a really great thing of diverting and reusing items. But that circular economy of keeping those items in our economy is the best way to be sustainable and to combat some of the issues that we see with our environment. The Restore property itself is also just a hub for sustainability. It's the original stormwater learning site for Soak It Up. Hopefully you've seen some of the signage around town, and if you've been at the Restore, you've noticed that signage that we have there. But we have a whole environment at the Habitat Restore. So we have, rated rain gardens, permeable pavers, native plantings, stormwater mitigation, rainwater reuse. We have beautiful educational signage for people who visit the Restore to learn more about these items that have been installed. And we also work with our community to provide tours and educational outreach regarding the things that we've installed at the Restore. And then obviously you can see from the roof there that we have a solar array on top. We've done a complete revamping of all of our lighting into building. So all of our lighting at the Restore is LED. So we want to put our money where our mouth is in the locations that we are. And so we've made sure that our Restore is a prime example of what you can do when you consider how you can be more sustainable in the place where you are. The other program that we have, and hopefully people have heard of this too, but this is one of the newer programs we operate at Habitat. It's called the Reclaim Program. And the Reclaim Program actually goes into homes and businesses that are either undergoing a major renovation or about to be demolished. And we use our staff and our volunteers to remove any materials that we think that we can sell or reuse on Habitat homes. The picture that you see here is actually a barn that we took down completely from top to bottom. So we were able to reuse every single piece from this barn. We brought a lot of it into the Restore. Some of it went into our homes. And then individuals who participate in the program actually, they divert items from the landfill. They can save money on their demolition costs, and then they get a receipt from Habitat for Humanity for the donations that we've made. And then the final thing that the Reclaim Program does is it's that ability to salvage those really beautiful and unique historic items that we sometimes don't think about when we're doing a demolition. But homes have a lot of really beautiful, unique things that we want to keep in our environment. We also just started our the homes that we're doing at Habitat are also extremely energy efficient, and we actually did our first solar home in Arcadia, Wisconsin. So this is a home with a full array of solar panels on the roof, not only to help with the energy usage, but also to offset some of the costs for our low-income families. One of the things that we've done over the past few years is definitely take a look at how we do construction in our community. So we have really, truly taken a look at maintaining properties that have a lot of really beautiful integrity to them. And so when you see the homes that Habitat does, not all of them are new construction. Actually, at this point, about 70% of our homes are actually rehab houses that we've purchased and are rehabbing for the families. And so we'll upgrade the homes and then sell them to the families. We try to use donated and salvaged materials as much as possible. All of our homes are focused on energy certified so that these savings can be passed down to the homeowners. And again, we're building that first solar home in Arcadia, and we're working with the state of Wisconsin to be able to continue this program for other Habitat homeowners in the future. So in 2022, we actually started our sustainability department at Habitat for Humanity. We realized, what we were doing at Habitat was really taking a look at how can we be more sustainable in everything that we're doing. And so what we wanted to do was create kind of a standalone department that takes a look at all of the different sustainability projects and how can we integrate that into everything that we're doing at Habitat for Humanity, and how can we look at new ways of being sustainable in the work that we're doing. And so we are focusing on how can we take a look at that broader community and find ways in the work that we're doing to really make an impact on sustainability in our community through stormwater mitigation, sustainable landscaping, agricultural, soil health, and water quality, and then that big idea of bringing our communities together through neighborhood revitalization efforts. So one of the programs that we operate as a kind of consultant and communications experts on is the La Crosse Area Waters. So this is an education initiative by the La Crosse Urban Stormwater Group, and we work with municipalities in our area to help advocate for healthy waterways. And we all know that, the Driftless region, the Coulee region is really centered by our beautiful bluffs and our amazing Mississippi River. And we want to make sure that as the part of the upper Mississippi River Basin, that we preserve our beautiful natural waterways. And so some of the things that we do is we do learning sites on stormwater mitigation and support. We have our Soak It Up project, again, which Habitat Restore was the first location for Soak It Up, but we also recognize and award other community members for doing similar things with their properties. And then we also have our signage network that you can learn more about all of the different installations and things that you can do on your properties to help support our area waters. We also are part of the Fishers and Farmers Partnership. It's one of 20 national partnerships that's supported by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. And Habitat is a co-coordinator of this group and leads communication with 5 different states that have come together again to support the upper Mississippi River Basin. And so we work together with farmers, landowners, local partners, federal agencies to protect our soil and reduce pollution and runoff into the Mississippi River and its tributaries. And so this is kind of why we asked the question at the beginning. Renew the Block is actually one of our newest kind of takes on an old program that we had at Habitat for Humanity. So we've been operating the Renew program for many years now. And the Renew program has been a very broad program that supports the idea that we want to create communities that people want to live, work, and play. And so in the houses that we build, the neighborhoods that we build, the communities that we build, we all want to make them vibrant, beautiful places that people want to live. And so Renew has been a program that's been partnering with over 30 different agencies in the city of La Crosse to revitalize our neighborhoods, make them great places. And prior to Renew the Block, we were focusing on entire neighborhoods within the city of La Crosse. So we focused on 4 different neighborhoods. We've done over 300 different projects and done a lot of really great things in our community. But one of the things that we realized is that, first of all, an entire neighborhood is a lot to tackle. And we really wanted to make an impact that was very visual and also very education supported. And so we have changed kind of how we are looking at neighborhood revitalization by focusing a lot of effort into a single block within the city of La Crosse. We are kind of stepping outside of what we normally do at Habitat for Humanity to create a revitalization program that is really innovative, really bold, and is something that individuals in the community and outside of the community can take and share and replicate across the United States. We really want to show that the city of La Crosse really embraces the idea of sustainable, vibrant communities. And so we want to do something that's really, really unique and really takes into consideration what we should be doing as communities and how we can do those things in the most sustainable manner possible. So this is just a little video, and I'll talk as we're walking through it about what Renew the Block is going to be all about. So we want to transform an entire city block in the city of La Crosse that is right across, that encompasses Logan Middle School and the block of residential units that are across the street from the school. And so it's really this kind of public-private partnership of how can we take our communities and turn them into something really beautiful. And so what we want to do is we basically, as you turn onto that block, we want you to be immersed in this idea of sustainability. So what we plan on doing is partnering with Logan Middle School by installing a food forest and outdoor educational class, and then incorporating education into the curriculum at the middle school so that students are not only learning, but they're also doing hands-on activities that help them understand local agriculture. Across the street, we're going to be working with the residential units. We'll be installing rain gardens, permeable pavers along the sidewalks. We're going to be installing an orchard down the street, food plots for all of the residents. And then we're going to be doing some rehabilitation work to the homes to make them more sustainable. So looking at grading, gutters and downspouts, things that will make their homes more sustainable. And then the really beautiful thing that we want to do is basically not only have this really visually rich idea of what communities can do when they come together, but we also want to educate the community as they're walking up and down the block to understand what was installed and how can they take those little pieces back with them. So what is the importance of rain gardens and how do they operate? Why should we pick native plants when we're looking at, putting things into our garden? Why, if we're going to be redoing our driveways, do we need to think about water runoff, and why is that important? And so we really want to be able to allow the community to take pieces away from this this immersion kind of therapy as they walk into this area. We are partnering with Coulee Region Ecoscapes and Grow Crosse to make this wonderful citywide revitalization effort that we can then help other communities embrace as well. And so we're going to be doing, again, different types of home repairs, this idea of urban agriculture and education, stormwater mitigation. We're going to be hosting classes in the community with our community partners, helping people understand that, the way that we approach what we do in our communities needs to shift. We all understand, climate change is a reality. We are seeing impacts from it every day. And so kind of the way we've been doing things is something that we need to take a step back and think of how we can do it differently, how we can incorporate these things into the world in which we live in, and that it's not a difficult thing to do, that it is something that we can all take home, that we can all share, and we can all start practicing better ways of making our communities. So here is just kind of an idea of what it would look like. You can see the orchard on one side. As people are walking down the block, they're just seeing this vision of a community and this idea of how neighbors and the community can come together to make better neighborhoods, better blocks, better streets. This is the outdoor classroom, where people can learn about the world around them as they're sitting immersed in that beautiful environment. So that is it. That's what we do at Habitat for Humanity to support sustainability. We also have a lot of different initiatives that we're kind of working on. We're looking at solar farms. We're looking at different ways that we can teach and educate people on sustainable construction practices. And we're really excited about what we're able to do. We have this long history of sustainability, but we're really putting our heads together on how we can do more in our community. And if you are interested in what I was able to just kind of share with you, there's a lot of different things that you can do to help us at Habitat for Humanity. Obviously, you can make donations to our organizations that can help us move forward our sustainability efforts. Obviously, volunteering is a big piece of what we do at Habitat for Humanity. So you can help by signing up to volunteer at the Restore, signing up to volunteer on a construction sites, or volunteering for any of the other programs that I talked about today. And then the biggest piece that you can do is just share, spread the word, help people understand that sustainability isn't just about organizations that are completely dedicated to sustainability as a whole, but also how can we reimagine all of the work that we do in different nonprofit organizations, different businesses, different communities, to make sure that we're thinking about sustainability as we're moving forward with our missions and with the work that we do. So thank you. Any questions?